Now, and we should be live. What's up? The, the
What's
YouTube should
up?
be a little bit behind. I need to get a let up works. It's been interesting. Cool. Cool. So
Yeah.
this is Matthew Houk. Let's get this out of the way. So say hi, Matt,
What's up,
artist
everybody?
creator. So how have you been, dude? Like it's been a wild ride this last couple of
Yeah,
months.
yeah, not bad. Just hanging out, trying to figure out a way to be as creative as possible. But it's hard sometimes, you know what I mean? I don't do anything. I'm gonna lay
Yeah,
around.
it's been a hard run recently. You've been. Has the supply line in your area been good? How?
Yeah, I was pretty stocked beforehand, and we got some secret stores we can go to that nobody seems to
That's
frequent. So
good.
we're
About like if you need certain things at a certain quantity, things can change. And I heard somewhere that if you're looking for like proteins and things, there'll be less pre
yeah,
like right. You can buy the whole chicken, uh, but that's about
yeah,
it.
that's
So like
true.
okay,
That's definitely
so
true.
we
Yeah,
just gotta learn how to
just
recook. And now I'm home, so I can cook things.
we've been doing that a lot, trying new things.
Yeah.
Like I've never cooked
Oh
before.
yeah.
Let's see how this goes. Fun.
Good. I've been trying to get more into it because I used to watch a lot of cooking shows when I was younger, and so
I still do. I still do. All day. How's my morning?
it helps. I think at the end of the
Yeah,
day, just watching it helps a lot. It helps the craft of it, and the more science of it. It's like okay,
I
I get it. I do this, do that, learn the
yeah,
basics, and then just kind of remix it.
definitely for sure.
So I was gonna go into your. So were you always an artsy kid, or did that come later?
Yeah, when I was like super
Okay.
young, I was real artsy, and then I kind of like I think there's two paths when you hit a certain age. Like it's artsy or
Okay.
athletics, and I went the athletic way when I probably should have stayed the artsy way. So I did the athletics for a long
Okay.
time. I played hockey. Um, yeah, and I mean, I didn't do much art, and when athletics, it was kind of over officially. Like, okay, there's no more shot to play anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of yeah, you know what I mean. So you got like I went from playing 7 days a
Oh
week
wow.
to down to 1 day a week, where it's like okay, now I have all this free time, and then it kind of slowly started picking up comic
Okay.
books again, which started drawing again, and so on, and then it kind of dove in headfirst there.
Were you into comics when you were younger, or is that like a new thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, super into it when I was younger. Yeah, I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. I remember walking to the Quick Trip on the corner and buying books
Nice.
every
What were
week.
you
So
into?
it's you know what I mean. Like back then, it was all the. I remember like X-Men, like the Onslaught
Oh,
miniseries.
okay.
That was like right in my wheelhouse. And then we moved, and there wasn't a place to just walk and buy comics when we moved to
Oh,
Texas.
okay.
So it kind of became just like I said, something that kind of fell to the background for a while. And then it was honestly, it was when I got back into comics. It was Josh Howard's Dead at
Mm-hmm.
17. Somebody had given me to read it, which is awesome because he's a
Oh,
local
okay.
guy. And then Temple Smith and Niles' 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
So I went from my last thought of comic books
oh,
was big beefy superhero guys to like, whoa, you could tell completely different stories in this
oh,
medium.
interesting.
Like
Yeah.
maybe start drawing again. Like think of that mindset. You go from 90s X-Men to 30 Days of Night. That's like the gap of
So it's
comics for me.
like Joey Mad. Who else is drawing then? Like the Onslaught stuff.
Oh, I couldn't even remember
Yeah.
who they were. I still have the
It's
box
like super
somewhere.
glossy style. Like everything's like super
Yeah,
shiny, like liquidy.
yeah. Real
Yeah.
polished.
Everybody wanted it to
Yeah,
be hyper shiny. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
you
yeah,
go to
yeah.
Temple Smith.
Which is what I love
Yeah, it's
because like
hilarious.
if you look at my
Mm-hmm.
stuff, I'm not a
Yeah,
polished,
yeah.
very refined artist. I'm like let's move quick and make a mess. And so like as I'm getting back into art, I'm like I can never draw comic books because I don't know how to draw
Oh,
like Jim
yeah.
Lee. And then you find 30 Days of Night, and I'm like, whoa, okay. I literally can do whatever I want in this medium. And then it was kind of kickstarted it to where I was like, okay, let's buckle down and
Okay.
really get back into
How old were you
learning
then? Like
art.
what grade were you in?
When I
Mm-hmm.
got back into comics, I was out of school. I was
Oh, okay.
21. Honestly, it would have been like probably a couple years before I met all you
Oh,
guys. I'd only been back into art for a couple of years at that
gotcha.
point. So 21. I was done with hockey at 21. So 21, 22 is kind of when I slowly got back into it. And then it was like the comic book convention scene, kind of meeting all you
Okay.
guys. Like, oh, okay, cool. Let's really
Yeah,
like
there's an opportunity to dive into it.
learn. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's kind of neat. So, did
Yeah.
you like? So when you were schooling, was it for athletics? What did you go to school for?
So I didn't start school until I was like 25,
Oh, okay.
26. And it was for art, but I also played hockey for the school.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm here for art. I might as well go ahead
Yeah,
and
do that.
get back to the athletic roots while I'm at it. You know what I mean? Because I was allowed to at
It's
that
a
level. So
it's a team building thing. I always think sporting, especially at a team level, is good to learn how to work in groups, and then that way you learn how to like take on bigger projects. You know what I mean? Because when you're working on a giant $1 million project, it's gonna be a team of people. Like you're not gonna
I
solo
agree.
it.
I
So
agree.
having working on a team and knowing your role is really really important. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought you
One.
went to school earlier.
No, 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 no. I chased the hockey dream because it works different in that sport. You don't go straight from high school to
Oh,
college.
okay.
So I there's levels of play in between that I kind of
Oh,
chased that
okay.
dream, which is why. And you age out at 21
Uh,
at that level. So it was like at 21 I couldn't play that level
huh.
anymore, and I still didn't have a college to play for. So then it was like, okay, let's do something else. And then that's when I went to
And you
school,
went to where'd you go to school?
North Texas University, of
Oh yeah,
North Texas.
UNC. That's right. I thought we went to
Yep.
the same school.
Yeah, played hockey there for a year. I went for I have a BFA in art education.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got to do all the intro classes, but I never had to specialize in anything, which is what I want. I wanted to learn how
Yeah,
to do
that's
everything.
nice. So yeah, that was a cool
Yeah.
thing about UNT, that art building. You had different levels, and each level,
Hmm.
floor had a different specialty. So you were like all over the place. That's cool.
I was, yeah, yeah. I had to take literally every intro class that they offered. We had the option to take. The only I didn't take I took a fibers class, but not your. I took a screen printing instead of
Okay.
fibers. You know what I mean? But it was like, yeah, sculpture. I took
Oh,
jewelry
that's
making,
cool.
like just anything that sounded interesting. I was like, let's take advantage of the fact I can do this and
Yeah,
learn
they
it
had
now.
really good professors in all the different mediums, and I think a lot of them knew what their
Yeah,
mediums like entail.
yeah, 100% agree.
So okay, so you went in with an art ed, so
Yeah,
from the
from the
get
get
go.
go, like it was
Okay,
art ed. Yeah,
that makes sense then. So that way you get to touch
yeah,
upon all these different things. Because when I was in
yeah,
school, it was very much like I don't. I felt like everyone thought the second floors were a bunch of sellouts. Like we're artistic
yeah,
sellouts. We're
yeah.
not true to the artiste mindset. And then the
I was a second floor kid. That's the art ed
oh,
floor
okay,
as
the
well.
practical floor.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, the
yeah,
first floor is practical
yeah,
too. I think 3D is also very
yeah.
practical. The
It is.
sculpture stuff. That once you get to, like the fine art stuff, it gets kind of
Yeah.
weird. You're like, are you really preparing these kids for a career?
I have this debate with plenty of people all the time.
Yeah, because it's like you got to be honest, and I always try to tell kids like you got to be honest with what you want to be with your life, and sometimes you gotta if you want to be artsy. There's not a lot of like super artsy jobs that pays really really well, where you get to like do whatever
I
you
agree.
want and just do
There's
you know very
very
few.
few.
You can chase
Yeah,
it like it's a fun chase.
as you
Yeah,
should. Everybody should chase it, but throwing all the eggs in that basket's probably not the smartest
yeah.
idea. That's why I went for ed. It was like, okay, cool, let's get something with some structure and long term plans, but then keep
Yeah.
chasing. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with
hmm
that.
I always quote a book called Night. I remember reading it when I was a kid, and they talked about everyone's looking for the door to the garden, but there's multiple paths to that door. And so
Yeah, great quote.
I always look at that as art career. Like you can have a cool art career, and it's just depending on how you wanna tackle it.
For sure.
Cool.
For sure.
So what art level do you teach?
I teach
High
high school
school.
art, ninth
Okay.
through 12th. Yep, I've got them all. I teach art one. Everybody teaches art one, and then I have drawing two, and then I teach the digital media program.
Okay.
So it's Photoshop and Illustrator, but we think in the context of it is our tool. It's not necessarily graphic design. So we're teaching digital painting and
Like
stuff
just
like
how to
that.
use it.
We have a whole graphic design program. So it's like go there, learn that. Let's learn this stuff here, and then we're gonna kind of meet back in the middle. And I want you to incorporate both of them into your
Yeah,
work.
bro. I My InDesign lesson was 45 minutes, and then they
Yeah.
taught me Quark, but they didn't teach me how to lay out stuff in Quark. They taught me how to illustrate in Quark. It was weird.
Yeah. So when I got this, so I'm interviewing for a job, right? They're like, "Do you know anything about digital stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I use Photoshop." And they're like, "Okay, cool." And then when they get the job, like, "You have to teach digital media." It's like, okay, how long do I have to teach myself to really do it? Because I'm doing like minor painting tweaks for a watercolor painting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm really diving into like the idea of digital painting. And so it was like, okay, crash course, let's do this. Like, I could teach myself. So it's a process. Like,
Yeah.
we're always learning. We always have to
And
be. So
as you're
every
teaching, you're learning.
something. Yeah, yeah. Some kid will come by and be like, check out what I did. I'm like, whoa, how did you do that? Show me. And then it's just like, I love that. And it was not that hard to accomplish. Let's
Hmm.
incorporate that into further projects for other
Yeah,
kids.
like
So,
you find new ways to teach
because I got some
kids.
kids, man. I got some kids that'll put all of us to shame.
Yeah,
It's
that's the truth.
impressive.
I,
As long as nobody scares them off the art path.
yeah,
That's the real.
I've had a couple of kids who wanted to come to the art side, and the parents kind of like moved them away.
Yeah.
Um, which is unfortunate, but I don't know the kids, so who knows? Maybe it's one of those kids who are like, you're gonna be into this for like 5 seconds, I know it, and then you're gonna dip out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's possible.
Yeah.
I met kids who are like that.
It happens. I'm dealing with, so one of my really good friends, like family friends, their daughter is like an incredibly gifted athlete, like state championship wrestler, like, and she wants to quit athletics going into high school and focus
Oh
only on art.
wow,
And I'm like, it never happens that way. They never go from there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, once you start winning championships, everybody's like, you have to stay here. And she's like, nah, I'm good. I want to learn how to draw and paint. I want to be an artist.
Use that wrestling for free college. Like that's the goal.
Yeah, that's what I said. But you know what I mean? Like, you can't knock a kid that wants to focus on art. Like, that's counterproductive to what I think both of us do.
Yeah. I always feel there's a good mix. People should mix a little more athletics. I think we need to be a little more well rounded at the end of the day. Just like the push, like especially as a wrestler, like the push to be good is like sometimes you just gotta dig deep and make something happen.
Yeah, and I think you learn a lot about yourself in athletics, in any kind of athletics. You learn, like you said, you got to learn how to dig deep. You're going to deal with some pretty serious adversity, and then when it happens, like when this stuff happens to me in the art world, I'm like, whatever. Like, I played goalie. I've been scored on in front of 2,000 people. So what? You don't like my painting?
Yeah.
Awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and then I see a lot of like the really your standard like super introverted kids that maybe kind of struggle with the idea of showing their art. But those of us that from an athletics background, it's like we're putting our art form in athletics on display, and we can't hide it from people. I can't be like, hey, I'm going to play this hockey game. Nobody can come.
Like now.
Like if 2,000 people are up, sorry. Yeah, now it's like, whatever, cool. I'm going to go play roller hockey.
Yeah.
Nobody will watch. But it's like, you know, you kind of learn that comfort of putting yourself on display, and I think it really translates to the art world a lot, like you said.
You gotta pitch a meeting. You gotta pitch a deck in front of CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies.
Sure.
You gotta talk to your boss. You gotta put your neck out there, and sometimes your boss will be like, "I don't know, man." He's like, "Let me do it. Just let me."
It teaches confidence.
My boss told me once, "I don't think this is gonna win." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I want to try." I think it's gonna present something different, and to me, honestly, it was a long-term goal. It was just to get them used to this idea, and then hopefully later down the line they'll pull the trigger on it when it really resonates. Because I think when I got there, it was something that could have worked if I had something a little more fleshed out, but it paved the way for something that will happen down the line. So we'll see what happens. That project went away, so we'll see what happens on other avenues.
Yeah, right on.
I've done that a couple of times. I was like, here, let's try this. And then once or twice, they'll be like, oh, this is perfect. Can you give me more? I was like, with a pay raise.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I will shoot that shot, but if it goes in, you're going to have to pay me more.
It was like,
sorry.
This is my job description. That is outside my job description, so that's a plus something. Like, let's talk about that something.
We can't work for free, right?
That's true for the most part, I believe. There's a couple occasions where you're like, if I'm gonna spend 5 hours at this thing, is 5 hours worth the long term? You know?
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm actually the biggest advocate of working for free. Like, I think you have to weigh, like you said, you have to weigh the long term effects. Like if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, this project," we all get it, right? Do this project; it's great for your exposure. Okay, that's not the right way to sell it,
Yeah.
first of all. But if you come to me and I'm thinking about it like a business plan, like we have to think about it. Okay, cool. I'm investing $5,000 into your long term business. What is my payment going to be in the long term? And we see it work. I've been really fascinated with David Cho lately.
Okay.
He's a street artist, like a graffiti street artist. He painted
He's
Facebook.
set. He is so set.
Yeah, and for anybody watching that's never heard this story, he painted the walls in Facebook and they were like, "How much is this going to cost?" And he's talking to Sean Parker, right, like the Napster guy. Like, how much is this going to cost? And I read an article with him. He was like, I was in freaking Facebook, and I'm like, I'm gonna go big, 60 grand. And they were like, okay, cool, we'll pay you 60 grand, or we can pay you in stock instead. And he kind of goes, ooh, this may never work, but I like to gamble. So he takes the stock, and that goes public, $200 million for painting 4 walls with graffiti. He took the gamble on himself, and the free don't work for free, and he $200 million.
It works out.
That's unbelievable. It doesn't always work out. It may not work out at $200 million, but if somebody comes to me and like, hey, I need you to do this logo design, but we're going to give you a small percentage of the company, you know what? That might work out. I'll take that. If somebody's like, hey, do this, it'll look good on your resume. No, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we really have to teach people to, because I know people, and you know them as well. They're like, no, if you don't give me money, I'm not doing it. I do not care.
Sometimes
they would have taken the 60 grand.
Sometimes you just got to take a bet on yourself. It's like, you look at it depends on, to me, is the approach. Like, I don't agree with anybody. I don't trust anybody that comes to me with, like, I'm an ideas guy or girl, you know what I mean? With, like, finger guns. Like, that kind of sleaziness. I was like, all right, cool. You have some ideas. And usually I've heard of something similar before. It's like, okay, it would work in this space, but no. So
I'm sure you get it a lot, too, as a designer, right? Like, I'm an illustrator, so I don't get it that much. Like, it would always be like, work on this book or a comic or something. But as a designer, you have to get it a lot. Like, do this logo, do this website layout, do all this stuff for me. I'm like, no, okay, maybe. But
yeah, it comes like quite a bit. It did when I was younger. I think it's people can kind of tell when you're starting out. And at that point, honestly, when I was younger, I kind of put myself in those circles, in those areas to like maybe find a bite here or there. Because, you know, if it's not a lot, I'll take a gamble for later, you know? It's like, hey, let's work on royalties to a flat fee, and then we'll work it from there. It's just kind of depending on how you're negotiating the process.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you do a lot of other things too. So let's say you're working on a book. Let's go. Speaking of learning, I've been learning OBS. So let's go to your promo. Yeah. Let's go here, and I'm gonna go to wrong key. There we go. Oh. We're going to the cover of the book you're working on.
Correct.
I'll end up here. So, what is this? What's up?
So, the great Taffeta Darling kind of came to me and was like, she's been a big fan of my art. I've been a huge fan of everything that she does for a long time. And she was like, I've been writing this, maybe it's poetry, maybe it's a short story, but it all kind of has like a heavy emotional feel to it. Okay. And she's like, I think it would pair great with my watercolors, because I do a lot of like, I don't want to say unfortunately, I focus a lot of like on like death and sadness in my paintings, but with really bright colors. Like, I want you to look at it and be instantly bummed, but then immediately happy for some reason. Like, I want you to have the conflicting emotions. And so she's like, I have all these things I've written. And so it really started from there. And then I was teaching myself how to ink. Like, I'm a big fan of Jason Sean Alexander, and I love his incredibly messy inking style. So I was teaching myself that and practicing in just like a toned paper sketchbook and showing her like, hey, what do you think? And she's like, I love that. And so it kind of spiraled into that's what the pages of the book are going to look like. So it's totally new for me, and anybody that follows me, the art style is totally different. But it's going to be, I'm handwriting every single letter. Like, the whole idea is it's going to be a coffee table art book, but when you look at it, we want it to feel like you're reading somebody's journal. So everything that you read is really emotional. And some things I've read what she's written and I make the art that way. And then some things I'm like, hey, check out this cool piece I did. And she's like, oh, that's kind of trigger this emotion with me. I'm going to start writing. And so she were kind of going the
That's
opposite effect.
cool.
So what? Yeah, it's like all super abstract and emotional. So I want you to be able to read what she wrote, and it trigger an emotion, and it could be legit, like a family member died. It could just be some sort of emotion that you're going through, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to the artwork itself. That should trigger a whole separate. You know what I mean? So we're basically writing at this point. She's writing a series of stuff, and I'm just doing the art, and then we're going to go through and figure out which ones we think match up the
That's a
best.
cool process. I dig it.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's heavy emotionally because having to dig deep yourself, especially her because she's doing all the
Yeah.
writing. Like when I don't want to deal with something emotional, I kind of set like trends where there's certain things in every single piece. So it's like, okay, I have a starting point because I know there's going to be a dead tree in every single piece. So I'll just draw, kind of see where it goes from there. You know what I mean? But yeah, for her, it seems like it gets pretty heavy. So it's been a year-long process because we don't push it because no thing like it has to be the right time to write and the right time to draw. And like we both recently lost our first beloved pets, and so she immediately, like Houdini went first, her cat, and then my dog Hazy went second. And so she texted me, she's like, "We got to do something for the dogs and the cat in the book." And I was like, "What a great idea!" So I drew a picture, and then she's writing stuff that kind of matches how she's feeling losing her 17-year-old cat or however old it was. I don't remember.
That's a long one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and we're gonna kickstart it, and you know, I think right now the plan should be is it's gonna be like 45, 50. Ooh. Like when you factor in like chapter breakdowns and the actual, some of the stories are 4 pages and 1 page of dialogue or 1 page of art. Some it's like, so yeah, we're trying to make it as just literally a coffee table book. I want this to not be a comic book. It's very much a poetry book and an art book. Set it on your coffee table. Let people pick it up when they come over, read it, laugh at it when they cry at something. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the plan. Like I want everybody that reads it comes to us and say, "That damn book made me cry." Be like, mission accomplished.
What I've done in my previous job is creating a live experience. Like this is an experience that can only accomplish by flipping through this physical book. You know,
love it. That's the plan. And you know, her and I both have comic book backgrounds, so it's
visual
kind of
storytelling.
Like yeah. Like let's do something different, but also won't alienate our background and all of our fan base that we already have that are deeply rooted in comic books and graphic novels. Like you'll still be able to read this, and it's still going to feel kind of comic bookish. It still has my style of art. It's just not bright, colorful watercolors. It's dark inks, and you know what I mean. So it's fun. It's different. It's learning as I go.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just making a mess. I mean, so that's my art style in a nutshell. Is just how big of a mess can I make, right? Like I'm just doing it with ink instead of paint.
That's cool. Like so what kind of inks are you using? Like straight out of a bottle?
I'm using the Pentel Pilot. What are they? The calligraphy pens. The flat edge ones. What are they called? Pilot. I can't remember. They're around here somewhere.
Pilot's a brand.
Yeah, and then I'm just using India ink out of a bottle.
Which brand do you use?
And then just Speedball, the Ultra Black. You know what I mean? I like it a little watery.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a watercolorist. You know what I mean? Like I don't need this big thick dark lines because I'm going to kind of water it down to make this. Yeah, and then I'm using a lot of whiteout.
Okay. I found like the Higgins Black Magic is rather thin. Oh yeah, that thing. Okay, that's why it's because the ink is really made for like so it's a little thinner.
But I love
it flows better.
I can get really good clean straight lines and then immediately take it to a big bold brushstroke. And then what I'm really loving is I'm actually working. So normally, you know, like I'm gonna pull them. It's like we all pull our lines. With these pens, I'm loving pushing my lines because it's splattering ink as it goes. So it's adding to that just like kind of dingy, grungy.
And you just let the tip do its thing. Like you're not controlling it. You're just like, all right, you just do your thing, and we'll live the consequences.
I got a good friend, Paul Sermon at Monsters of Type. It's like a typography group. He's and he uses those. And he was like, dude, take your Dremel one and cut the edge down to a different angle. And he was like, it totally changes everything. So now I'm like buying these pins in bulk and taking a Dremel and like shaving down the tips to see, and then sitting here with scratch paper trying to see if it gives me a different mark but also still giving me like just still giving me that little bit of grungy splatter, but still making a good clean stroke. Like I want good clean lines. If it splatters a bit and ruins the stroke, like I'm not using a brush pen. I'm not painting. I don't need this big bold line. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been, and like I said, I'm not an inker, so I'm buying all this stuff and literally just like watching my favorite artists paint with it and draw, and I'm like, I don't know how are they doing this? Like, let's go get a bunch of paper and figure it out. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely a fun process.
That's what you gotta do these days. Just like, I think that's a part of being like a working artist these days, having multiple skill sets.
Yeah, can't stop learning
to expand and do new things. And like I've been very lucky. I've been paid for, be a photographer, a designer, websites, trade show, billboards. It's all over the place. Yeah. And so it's been able, and I'm able to move industries. So you're not just in it, you can move around, because as a creator, you can move anywhere. Because I remember telling people I make emails for promotions, like selling grills, and someone's like, "Oh, someone does have to make that." It's like, "Yep, someone has to make it." That's me.
And it's like, why pigeonhole yourself into one thing, right? Like, it's gonna get bored. Eventually, you're gonna run out of work. Yeah. Like I'm a traditionally trained watercolorist. I would much rather paint watercolor landscapes all day long, but that gets redundant. I don't exactly have a line of people kicking the door down for a watercolor landscape. So I'm gonna keep doing those, but then I'm gonna keep learning other things. And honestly, like I haven't painted in a year probably, which is crazy for me because I'm like the watercolorist of the area. Like that's all I do is watercolor everything. And so but it's been so interesting, like learning new things. It's exciting. Like I'm comfortable with watercolor. You can give me paint, any kind of brush, any kind of paper, and I'll make something. So I have that comfort level. With this stuff, I'm like, oh, let's deconstruct it and think about, where do I start? Do I sketch it first? Do I just go dive right? With watercolor, I don't sketch it. I just go straight in because I'm comfortable. Okay, yeah. But inking, it's all like, okay, hold on, let me start drawing. But then you're like, well, regular graphite's too like poignant to it. You know what I mean? So now I'm using red graphite. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, it's just, the checkbox is on the way down. So I hit that comfort level, and when I hit that comfort level, I'm going to push it aside and I'm going to learn something new.
So I was going to go on to the next thing you have. Let's see. Nope, wrong keys. There we go. These are your toys.
Yeah.
What are these?
So it's comic books shaped my life, but toys probably shaped my life more. Like just like any other 80s kid, like where the prime era for action figures is late 80s and early 90s. Like I'm a Star Wars guy, so I'm like, Star Wars set the deal for everybody. But like early 90s toys, like we're pretty close to the same age. So when we're 10 years old, those toys were crazy. So I've been such a huge toy fan forever that I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to make toys. Like I want to make my own. Like, and so I partnered with a couple buddies that kind of had the same mindset, Nate Jones and Justin Scadam. And then we kind of started doing stuff under the alias Super Secret Co.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so like we were learning like silicone molds and resin casting, and then slowly started learning sculpting stuff. And then we still all, we talk to each other every single day, but we all kind of went from working as a group to kind of working on our own things once we got good at it and we kind of figured our own niche. You know what I mean? Like I'm more of a 3 and 3 and they have their different ideas. So right now I'm doing a lot of what you call kit bashing. I take pieces from different existing action figures and kind of build my own, and then make a mold and then do resin pours. So I believe for the photos I sent you, that's the first one. So it's called the Squid Trooper.
Oh, okay.
And so the first one, which I'm going to release, I'm looking at them right here. They're all stacked up. They're carded and ready to go. I'll show you guys a live shot.
Oh shit.
And so Squid Trooper, they're all carded and ready to go. It's translucent blue, and it actually glows in the dark, which I sent you the photo of the glow in the dark.
I think the next shot is the pink arms, and then the packaging.
Yeah, so that's the next one. So this one, I wasn't super happy with the mold, and I redid the molds, but I'd already made the packaging. And so the cool thing about this packaging is I couldn't come up with the name for the guy. Okay. But I love the toy, and it was like it's one of my first like real one where I'm like, I love this, right? Like it's very much like my favorite guys in this business are like the Suck Lord and Killer Bootlegs and has these guys, and they're doing the same type of stuff. But I couldn't come up with a name, and so I'm making I wanted all the card backs to be one of a kind. So I just started doodling what the conversation me and the super secret guys
Oh,
are
that's
having.
hilarious.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this one says Trooper. I guess that's his name. And one of them just says F this dude because I was getting so frustrated I couldn't figure out what I wanted to call him, right?
That's
But as I was making those, and so I only have 10 of
okay.
those because that was my test mold. The mold kind of crapped out on me. So I was like, cool, I had to make another one. And so the new one is the black with the pink
Okay.
arms. And so it's slightly different. I changed some things about him. Still Squid Trooper, non-articulated, but he's gonna mold so much better. So like, this is the mold right out of the cast right out of the
Oh
mold. It's like
wow.
super perfect. So this one's actually going to be a painted version. It's going to be more mass produced
Okay.
looked. Like yeah, he's going to be. It's a lot of pink. I love pink, baby blue, and black together.
It's
So he's going to be. That's why he's cast in black with pink arms because I'm testing
okay.
colors. Like this isn't what they're going to. But he'll yeah. So he's going to be pink and blue, and then I'll do a more traditional like Star Wars card back like with art where I'm not hand
Yeah.
making each one. I might throw it to a friend or two and see if somebody else wants to
That
help
sounds
out.
dope.
I was doing a Joe Exotic piece because I don't know if you've seen Tiger King.
I
Like
have not.
I was giggling so hard at that, and I was like, I love it. And so, hold on, let me put his head
He's a
back on. He's
caricature, like legit.
yeah. So I have the one in here. It's in the other studio, but like, yeah, I made a whole like mini of them after molding. But I made like a mystery mini Joe Exotic,
That's funny.
and David DeGrand card art for it, and we just called him the King, and it's beautiful. The art. I'm having some problems with the mold right
Oh.
now, but the toy it has a lot of sculpting done on it that didn't survive the first mold making process. But if I can't salvage the mold, then that
Oh
project's
no.
kind of done. Which is okay. I like that's fun and it's funny and people like it. Like I was only gonna make 5 or 10 of them,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of more the idea of creating my own characters and then turning it. So I'm actually shifting past kit bashing, and I'm working more on sculpting. Like I'm learning digitally
That's
sculpting
cool.
and traditional sculpting and stuff. So the ultimate goal is I'm a big fan of the Japanese sofubu stuff, like the soft vinyl. So like all the old like Japanese kaiju monsters you get, it's soft vinyl. Like it's a huge market. I love it. I have a lot of friends that do it. One of the super secret guys, his brother Draculaser is like big in it. I got a friend Violence Toys. Like they just do these great. If you look right there, there's
Oh,
a
I
pink
see it.
one from Violence. I just love them, and they're like this big, and they're always monsters. But I'm working my sculpting up to that point, so where I can finally ship one to Japan and be like, let's get a mold made, and go exploit the contacts I have in that
That's
to kind
cool.
of get to the right fact.
That's the
That'll
fun
be
part about the Japanese toys because they go everywhere. I was watching a thing
Mhm.
on from Toy Galaxies called GoBots, or one of
Yeah,
the series, and they said for the Japanese edition they didn't really have a backstory because the kids didn't care. They just meet up there like
yeah,
this is a giant robot that comes together and it'll fight my other
yeah,
toys. But for the American market, it needed a very particular backstory, and so they're people to
yeah,
write it up. I was like, oh okay. So
yeah,
yeah, those the Japanese the soft ones, like yeah, they're just
yeah.
random
They're everywhere.
critters.
But it's such like so like I've never been to Japan, but we have some friends and some regular customers that go and you can get that stuff everywhere, right? But
Oh.
now it's thought of such like a niche art form that a lot of the guys that I
Mhm.
follow, like so for instance, there's this great toy designer, Mutant Vinyl Hardcore or Mutant Hardcore Vinyl, something like that. Can't remember exactly. It's his Instagram handle. He's so popular and they get made, and so people will sell them for 300-400 bucks a pop. It's like you're yeah, it's basically an original painting, but they get to a popularity level where they have to do raffles just to get the opportunity to buy the toy
Oh.
because it's such a new like cool art form. Like there's like Designer
Mm-hmm.
Con. There's just one that was supposed to happen I think a couple weeks ago, but obviously they had to shut it down, called Creature Bazaar, and it was nothing but designer toys.
Okay.
Like it was like a small, it was like a bazaar, like right, like you've been to like I know where you live. You've been to the bazaars, like basically a
Mm-hmm.
flea market, right? Like it was as a flea market setup, but only with designer toys. So this is like, I think like I know you guys used to do a lot of like the monies and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like I think this is like the next logical step. Instead of people buying a blank money and sculpting and designing on it, they just made their own
Yep.
sculptures, sent to Japan, got the soft vinyl made, and now you're getting like, so my buddy at Violence Toy, like I'll go hang out with him in Austin. That, you know, they have like licensing deals. Like that's a big company,
Yeah.
and I'll go hang out at his house, and he's got 17 boxes in his studio, and it's like I dig through one box and like this one's a head, and then I open this box and this is like a left
Oh,
arm,
funny.
right? And so they get 5 molds of 5 different monsters, but then they just kit bash their own creations to make
Huh.
additional. You know what I mean? Like think about it. Like I could take that monster's left arm, that one's right leg, that one's torso, and that one's head, and make a whole different
That's
monster.
cool.
And it's like to me, it's like kind of reinvigorated a whole completely different art form for me because I'm a guy. I don't know how to sculpt. I hated my
I
sculpture
could
class
never
in
do it.
college. You know what I mean? But now it's like, but I love toys so much that it's like, wait, I can get to this point and I can start making these, and then it's like it's mine. Like it's not even a money thing for me. Like I give away more stuff than I sell toy wise because I'm like, yeah, check it out. I made this. Like here,
Yeah.
you take it. I love it.
I remember
Right?
getting into a conversation recently about why we create, especially now when things are getting crazier and crazier. And I just looked at her and said, "It's we have to. Like, this is what we
Yeah.
do." Uh,
I've been so productive during this with toys. Nothing else. The place I get all my supplies for does curbside pickup. I could call place the order over the phone. They got my card on file because it's like a wholesale place,
right on.
and they basically leave it by their front door. So I don't even talk to anybody. I just drive up, look for my name. That's mine. Put it in the car and go home and get back
That's
to
cool.
work. So I've kind of exploited the free time to double down on the toy
I think that
making.
was the original intent. So, as I understand it, before the Depression, we were heading towards a 30-hour work week instead of 40-hour. Animation has become more and more of a thing. But then the Depression happened, and so people are like, don't take it, and we've just been stuck in that.
It makes a
thing
lot of
since
sense.
then.
I think this is going to change a lot because we're learning how much stuff can be done
Mhm.
remotely. You know what I mean? Like how many business owners are like, why am I paying this amount for a location to house all these people to work 40 hours when they can do the work at home, and I only have to get a one office instead of a 30
Yeah, for
office
real.
building. You know, like you can cut your entire business's expenses down. I think about it. And I'm kind of curious to see how we come out of this. Like, what business models change, and it's all going to be for the better. Like, I don't feel like going to lose some businesses, but you know what I mean. Like, those were sadly small enough that they weren't prepared for this. But I think big business wise, like, I would like to think that we're going to streamline a lot of stuff out of this. I don't know, especially in the design world. Like, you don't need a designer to come into an office. You really don't. You need them to be able to prove that they're working and clock in and clock out and get their stuff done at home, like, and still be on full payroll. That's one less office you have to pay for. That's what 500 square feet you don't have to think
I
about.
think having competent creative directors, people who understand how the process works, you can really gauge if one of your workers tell you this took 6 hours, you can say yes it did or yes it didn't. But that takes someone who knows what they're looking at.
For like we've been around long enough, it's pretty easy to figure out how long it takes somebody. But yeah, unfortunately, there's directors that have no idea what they're doing. I'm sure, and like, oh, that took you 12 hours, yeah, and really the guy's like, haha, it took me 2 hours.
It's a different thing too. I found just because you're a good artist doesn't make you a good director. You know what I mean? Like, leadership skills are very particular. And sometimes the best artist isn't quite the best leader. You know what I mean? Or they're the really good leader, but 100%. Not the best artist. But that's just how it works.
No, I totally agree.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff out there. It takes a little bit, but I think when you're younger, just go for everything.
Yeah, don't turn jobs down when you're younger. Like, just like, yeah, I'll do whatever. Like, yeah, if you're gonna pay me $50, let's do it. If you're gonna pay me $500, let's do it. Like, it's all about building a resume and a portfolio.
And then you end up finding different places to go. Like my buddy Catherine, she graduated as a photography major, and now she's a muralist.
Yeah, and you're gonna learn. If I would have never tried inking, I would have never realized, like, if I would have just stuck to my niche, you know what I mean? But it was dealing with a different creator saying, let's try something different, forces me to try, and I realize how much I love it. You know what I mean? Like, some of these people are going to come out like, I want to be a designer and only a designer and nothing else. I actually just listened to a really great podcast. It's Creative Pep Talk with Andy J. Pizza. It's a fantastic it's all about just being creative, right? And so he brought in one of his friends, and she's a muralist as well. she's a muralist, and she does like typecast, like
Oh,
lettering and stuff like that. But she's a classically trained graphic designer,
okay.
and she was like, I just got bored. I was doing graphic design stuff for work and getting paid, but then at home I was like, I don't want to do design stuff at home freelance because it's what I get paid to
Mm-hmm.
do. So she started dabbling in other stuff and realized I love this so much more. I'm actually getting a bigger following doing this other stuff, and no longer does graphic design. I mean, it's incorporated
Yeah,
in her
the skill
art,
sets are there.
obviously, but yeah, but it's not. She's not like now. She's not. I'm only a graphic designer. She's like, I do murals, I do lettering, I do graphic design. I can paint, I can draw. What do you need me to do? And it's because she kind of took herself out of
Yeah.
that sort of this is. And then that, and she talks great about it. She's like, this is what I went to school for. So I thought I have to do it.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like just because you went to school for drawing and painting doesn't mean you can't be a sculpture artist as
That's
well. You know
true.
what I mean? Like, and I think for young artists, like that's why I think you're so diverse and I'm so diverse is because we didn't really say no to jobs. Or when we were younger getting into this, it was like, yeah, I'll try
Hmm.
that. Why not? And if it fails, that sucks. I'm sorry. Do you want your money back? Like,
I had a
and if
very
it
good like
well,
art upbringing. I was very lucky in that we did everything when I was younger, and so I learned
yeah,
how. They taught me how to stitch. They taught me how to do
yeah,
paintings. They taught me how to like we did pointillisms,
I can still, yeah,
photography. Then in high school I did photography, and so like I had all these skills. Like I knew technically how it worked. And the art background is just kind of there. The eye for it is just there, just by looking at good art. I remember in design that was the big point,
sure,
where my professor told us like 90% of the time the stuff you look at every day isn't very good. You have to go find the really
I,
really good stuff, which
yeah,
is odd.
100%, yeah,
And so
yeah,
once you start seeing all the good stuff, you're like, okay, so that's what this how this works. And when you just take it as a
no,
pure
yeah,
art form, and then you just gotta compromise a little bit when you go commercial. Sometimes you win, sometimes you
yeah,
don't, but
yeah.
client work is client
But
work.
it's just, yeah, it's it's just getting it out there, right? Like we said before, don't pigeonhole yourself. Like that's what I preach to my kids. They're like, I want to be a painter, I want to be an illustrator, I want to be a designer. I'm like, why can't you just say I want to be a great artist?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm making toys and comics and paintings, and I do goalie helmet design. I do all these different things because I just want to be
Yeah,
an artist. I want somebody. I don't want anybody to be scared to come to me and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this project. Do you think this is in your wheelhouse?" I don't want them to be like, "Oh no, I can't go to Matt Houk because he only
oh
does
yeah,
watercolor. Like he would never. He would not be able to sculpt this toy for me because he's a
yeah.
watercolorist. Like you need to
Mm-hmm.
be diverse. Like especially if you want long term. Like we talk about it all the time. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't want to be out of the art game in 5 years. I want to never be out of the art. I want to be 75 years old, bored and
Yeah,
grumpy, but still making some kind of rad
that's the
art. You know?
lifestyle. Like you end up just doing it all the time.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Do it all the time and keep
Mm-hmm.
learning.
That's a big
Yeah,
thing.
which I've seen your style in the last 15 years change incredibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like when I met you, you were doing all like traditional digitally illustrated based on photographs
mm-hmm.
you were taking, and then now it's like, hey, check out this pen and ink drawing I did. I'm like, well, what the hell, dude? Like, where did this come
It's just
from?
an
Like, I didn't know you
it's
could
just
do
now an
this. Like,
evolution. I take the photos, I morph it in Photoshop, and then I play it
yeah,
with there, and then I ink it. Because I miss
yeah,
inking traditionally. Because I miss that
yeah.
randomness that ink gives you, and the.
And I think starting your new business, that's what kickstarted that too, because then you're testing all the new
Mm-hmm.
supplies. You know what I mean? And that's where I see like what my favorite piece, where you're doing that, you're doing everything, and then printing it out, and you're going back to your roots with
Yep.
traditional inking and stuff like that and paint. And I'm like, yeah, like this is why I go to your booth every time at a show. Like, what kind of pens can I doodle with? Like, let's scribble. You know?
Art supplies are like my friend had told me they're like guitars. You have to try it out
Yeah.
because the waist everyone's a little different. The weight's a little different. Um,
Do you have like a waste bucket, like something you're like this doesn't work, and you just throw it in a
yeah,
bucket? Because I have one. I have one in my
yeah.
classroom.
They
'Cause I don't throw anything away because I can use it in class. Another kid might come by and see
yeah.
it,
I,
but
I
we'll
usually
buy
have
a million
I
things to
usually
try.
have them around, and if I need
Yeah,
something that's it's close enough, I'll just use it.
yeah. I'm like with paint. There's a million paint right here on my desk. Like where I'm like I hated that color or I hated that brand of paint, whatever. But I could sit here because I might need it later. But when it comes to like pens and brushes and stuff like that,
Oh, there's
markers,
so many.
I'll try every marker in the world. Yeah, but if I don't like it, I just throw it in this bucket and then I'll wait till I see some kid's art in class at work. I'm like, hey, I think you might actually benefit from trying these. They're over on that desk. Go get them whenever you want, man. If it dries up, throw it in the trash. Whatever. Don't like take advantage of it, because I mean, I teach in an area where we have like not incredibly low income, but like pretty low. But then we also have like pretty wealthy at the same time. A lot of kids that can have some kids that are like, "Hey, can I borrow a pencil?" So I'm like, I'll buy all this stuff and I'll try it. And if I don't like it, that kid freaking love it. Like I have a bunch of markers, and one kid that them, and like he'll just walk around my desk, grab them, and I use them all the time. But I'm like, no, dude, have at it, because he's not going to be able to get them at home. You know what I mean? So those are expensive markers.
It's hard to find.
Yeah, I love them. I love them. I don't know how often you use them, but I love them.
I use it a couple of times, like graffiti stuff. I'm just trying to learn how to paint on things.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of graffiti that it's like
it's a form. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm 3 more weeks of being cooped up away from going and starting bombing walls just because I've never done it. Like at this point, there's nobody around. Like it gives me a whole day on an empty wall.
This is if you ever want to film like a crazy car chase scene, now's the time.
Yeah, you're right, dude. It's kind of creepy. So obviously, I have Empire Toys, right? For those of you that don't know, I own a vintage toy store in Keller, Texas.
His love for toys go.
Yeah. So I mean, like I'm around toys every day. I'm not working at school, but we're on a pretty. You've been there. We're on a pretty major like highway, right? So we're there today. It's like 8:30 at night, and I mean, like I'm standing in the middle of that busy road, and there's not a car. And it's like this is weird. I don't like. It feels like it was 6 a.m, man. It was like nuts. It was like 8:30 on a Wednesday. I was like because all the restaurants next to us and everything are closed. So there was no reason for any. It was just us there doing like a new inventory that came in. I was
driving back from running and getting groceries, and on the highway back, I was like, it feels like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
No,
like your photos took.
I
like what downtown.
Yeah, I tell you, when I was taking pictures, I kept hearing like an engine rev in the background. Like I thought it was further back. And I look over, and it was a motorcycle, like a riced up Suzuki looking thing, a muscle car, and like a truck. And they go down around the corner, and they hit the highway, and they take off. I don't know where they went after that.
Crazy. Those pictures you posted, they were so eerie that I was like, my camera out in Keller to try to see if I could find like some sort of creepiness in the same shot. But it was like every time I was like, this is perfect, and I would cue it up, and I would take the photo. Headlights would come over the little hill, and I'm like, quit ruining my photo.
You have to wait. When I do that kind of photography, it's patience. I'll be there for hours.
Oh. See, I'm just now getting into photography. Like, I was into it, but I got a camera for work at school to photograph kids' art for like a large. We can't scan it. We got to photograph it. So we got a camera in the program. Or we all have a camera in the program. But I was like, I've been using it to just learn photography, and I'm so old school photography that I'm like rolling film and like developing my own film that I'm getting all this digital stuff. I'm like, look at all these settings. What do I do? I don't know. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's when I'm at the shop late working and it's dark. I'm like, 'cause I love night shooting. I think it just adds cool, like the of it and everything. I mean, you know me, like it's like all like I'm big into horror and stuff like that. So it's like trying to take some creepy photos. But yeah, I'm out there like in the middle of Keller, Texas with a freaking camera on a tripod next to the highway, trying to like cue up a great shot.
I've been trying to find. I try not to park my car in a business that could be operating, or I could be considered trespassing.
Yeah,
because that's a life.
Yeah, awesome.
I remember when I was in
like I don't want to run anymore, man. I don't want to have to. My cops are here now. I'm too old.
Luckily,
for that.
So when I was younger, every time I pulled out my camera for something, a cop would show up But I found the words "I'm an art student" like just diffuses the situation. They go, "Oh, okay," and then let me be weird. Yeah. As I gotten older, they just kind of leave me alone now. I was like, "Oh, you're just a weirdo." Because I remember I realized those took. I'm in this yellow hoodie, just with a mohawk, standing with these colorful pants, standing in the middle of the street, like just staring at a camera. I saw a cop roll by. I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna get someone to talk to me because this is right before the lockdown.
Yeah.
But they just drove off. Like, oh, he's a weirdo. That's fine.
Yeah. I think as we get older too, they seem to look at us and be like, guy looks like he's in his 30s. He's probably a little bit more responsible. But like when we were 20, we could have been doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Up to no good.
And not changing anything. And then they're going to be like, what are these punk kids doing out this late? But now it's like, hey, tax paying adult, I hope you're having fun. And then they just go, you know what I mean? Because like we have that debate at the shop all the time. Like we have rooftop access, and you know what I mean? Like after our grand opening party, we sat out there and we're kind of hanging out after the hours, and I'm expecting cops to drive by and tell us to leave, and they literally kind of pull over a wave. How'd the opening go? And I'm like, oh man, like this is where I'm in life. Like I can't. I'm purposely causing problems, and they still just like, it's cool, man. You're still gonna be up at 7:15 in the morning and go to work tomorrow like a normal adult. I'm like, damn.
That's the fine line I feel, where it's, especially as an artist, you gotta experience life.
I'm gonna graffiti a wall.
Bit. Yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna go make sure that everybody can find. Where can people find you online?
Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media. It's just Matt Houk.
Houk. Am I pronouncing it wrong?
Houk. Yeah, okay. No, you got it right.
Cool.
I got a website, matthouk.net, but it's more geared towards all the goalie helmets and stuff that I do, because it's like a big focus for me. So
which is amazing to fall into.
Dude, I fell into it by accident. I mean, I grew up a goalie. But when I was younger, you got your helmet airbrushed. And so you would go find like some biker dude that paints motorcycle tanks and be like, hey, can you paint my goalie helmet? Because we're in Texas, right? Like in Canada, there's a million helmet painters, but here there's nothing.
Okay. And
so you would go get your helmet. Like, that's how I got my helmet painted when I was younger. But then as I got better at digital art and all this stuff, and then the new wave of people getting like their cars vinyl wrapped. So like I have an account at this huge print shop that prints all of my artwork on this car wrap vinyl that's got a protective layer on it. And then I wrap these helmets for these goalies, and it's so much more cost effective, because like to get a helmet painted now is $1,300. Yeah. They come to me, I can wrap it for $200. I got kids that I do their helmet every single season.
Oh, wow.
Like if I was still playing at that age and I could get my helmet wrapped, I would have had a new design every season as well. So yeah, and instead of going and buying a new domain and all that, I just kind of shifted the other one.
Cool.
So I'm actually in the process of making a new website that's just web store only, that's geared for all of my art and all the toys, where people can go buy toys. So as long as they follow me on Instagram and Facebook mainly, that link will pop up.
And it all works out because we're in this weird inner space now that doesn't exist in time, and
we're just
here now.
Yeah.
It'd be so weird seeing people again.
Yeah. Like, are you? I remember you being taller.
I know. My coworkers have this a month and a half now, because we do meetings, but no one goes on video. And so my hair's growing out. I'm gonna shave it again.
Yeah. I was gonna trim my beard, but I was like, what's the point now? I'm stuck inside. I might as well just keep going.
You see how long have you ever grown it before? Like, is that the longest?
This is the longest. Yeah, it's 2 years. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty out there. So
because my beard gets to a point where it just kind of like stops. Like it'll grow more, but it'll shed, and so it just stays at a certain length.
I mean, I'm like the middle of my belly right now, and I think that might be it. I want to trim it, but then I kind of want to see if it goes any farther. But the day that they say everything's open for business, maybe then I'll. Yeah.
Cool. And you're doing some live auctions. That's been going well for you, right?
Yeah. So I own Empire Toys, vintage toy store in Keller, and obviously we had to shut the doors down just like everybody else, and kind of in the panic mode of how are we going to pay bills while we're shut down, we kind of said, let's try doing Facebook live sales. And so we basically just sit there and like sell inventory that we already have in store. And so it's been fun. Like we get a ton of viewers and everybody's like, you guys are great. Like we try to make it like, I watch a lot of those where they're just kind of real boring. Like they don't have a personality. And like, I feel like I have a pretty good personality, but I'm not the personal one in the group. Like my business partner is like, he is all of the personality in these videos. So if you watch our live sales, you'll see me running in and out because I'm working and stuff, and he's just on the camera going hard. But we have another one tomorrow. It'll be on Empire Toys Facebook. It's just Empire Toys. You'll see a big baby blue and black logo, and my face probably somewhere making a stupid face because that's what we do.
It's been a
it's
big
fun.
shift, and I'm glad it's working out for you guys.
So we're actually in the TV show on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us. And the
Mhm.
movies that made us, that same company is doing a documentary called A Toy Store Near You.
Oh.
It's featuring toy stores just like ours, vintage toy stores, and how we are being creative to survive kind of what's going on right now.
Oh wow.
We are, yeah. So
Mhm.
I think we got a new note today that it'll be on Amazon Prime between now and May
Oh
15th.
cool. Wow.
They haven't given us an exact date between now and May 15th. And Empire Toys. So yeah, you'll see Chuck and I talking about our favorite toys, how we're being creative to survive during the time, and you get a really great glimpse of the store. Like we had a Sparky from Sparky's Video Productions come out. He's a drone
Oh wow.
cinematographer, and so we have this like really great drone because our store's upstairs. So we have this great drone shot of us walking up the stairs and opening the doors. Like, yeah, it's gonna be great. So we just found out today, May 15th is kind of like the final deadline. We don't know exactly when it's
That
gonna
was
air,
fast
but
too. Jeez.
it's yeah, yeah. They only announced it 6 weeks ago. We got the call like maybe 5 weeks, and then we got lucky that we caught Sparky on like a 3 day window where he just didn't have
Oh
anything to
wow.
do because they give specific like you have to film this way. Like we can't just go out there on our
Yeah,
iPhones and
yeah.
film. Like it has to way because it's going to be Amazon Prime and probably
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. So we just got lucky that we've got a dude that has a whole production company that just literally had 2 days where he was like, the place I was supposed to shoot for had to cancel because of everything going
Oh
on.
wow.
I'm bored. And I was like, funny you mentioned that. Do you want to help us? And he's like, absolutely. So we spent a whole day shot. We had to give our top 10 favorite toys, and we actually got to show the
Oh,
toys.
that's
And
cool.
yeah, it should be cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to be on like a TV at that platform and not be talking about art.
Oh,
I always thought that's what get me there, but it's you know what I mean. But yeah, I'll be talking about vintage toys and my store and
that's
stuff.
cool.
So that's cool. Yeah, it's an art form in its own way, right? But it's a toy gallery.
Mm-hmm. It
There
is
you go.
like walking through your space. It's a big display. Like everything
Yeah,
is.
you haven't been in a while. Way
Oh,
different
okay.
now. Yeah, like the gallery room is full of
Oh,
toys now too.
cool.
Like, yeah, so it's three full rooms
Yeah,
of
there's
toys.
like a yeah. We walk in there, you can tell there's a respect for the craft.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we're hoping that because we don't get to cut the film. We just have to send specific shots to the production company, and they cut it however they
Okay.
feel. I mean, like they gave us a
Mm-hmm.
shot list,
It's
basically,
like
and so we don't know how they're going to edit it, but yeah, we're hoping that they do show some of the cool shots of the
keep an eye
of
out
the
for it.
prop.
That'll be
So
awesome.
toy store near you.
Yay. Cool. So let's end it. Everybody find Matt down with all the links down there. I'll get them for you and I'll load them up. Cool. I'll hit
Perfect.
that.